My sister rolled her eyes and said, "No man could ever handle you." My stepmom laughed like it was a joke. I just smiled and said, "Funny coming from someone living under my roof." Then I added, "Pack your bags, you're out tomorrow." My name is Erin, I'm 29F, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the family member everyone merely tolerated because they needed me, not because they actually respected me. That's the part that always stung the most. I was the dependable one, the one who paid the bills, solved problems, and never asked for anything in return. It was easy for them to take my kindness as a given because I rarely drew lines. But that changed one Saturday night, the night my stepmother laughed at my expense, and I decided I was done being everyone's doormat. Let me rewind a bit. A few years ago, after years of grinding away in the tech world, I finally bought my own place, a modest 2-bedroom apartment in the city. It wasn't extravagant, but it was comfortable, peaceful, and entirely mine. I worked hard for it, saving every dollar, living below my means, and building the kind of independence I'd always dreamed of. Around that same time, my dad remarried a woman named Tammy, a woman who made it clear from the start that my existence was more of a courtesy than a concern. And with Tammy came her daughter, Brooke, 26 at the time, who believed life owed her everything she wanted without lifting a finger to earn it. Not long after the wedding, Tammy suggested that Brooke move in with me, just for a few weeks, while she figured things out. She had quit yet another job, her third one that year, and needed a place to stay. My dad promised me it would be temporary, that she'd get back on her feet quickly. That was 14 long months ago. Brooke never paid a single dollar in rent. She used my kitchen, my towels, my coffee, my everything without asking. She left dishes piled up like a museum exhibit and hosted random strangers at all hours. I bit my tongue because I didn't want to cause drama with my dad. I told myself it was temporary, that she'd eventually move out. But with each passing month, her disrespect grew more obvious. Then came my 29th birthday. I hadn't planned anything fancy, just a small dinner at a local restaurant with my dad, Tammy, and Brooke. I wasn't expecting gifts or speeches, just a calm evening. But calm and my family don't usually exist in the same sentence. When the waiter brought out a slice of cheesecake with a candle, Brooke leaned in with that smirk she always wore when she was about to say something cruel. "No wonder you're still single," she announced loudly. "No man would put up with you." Tammy burst out laughing, not a nervous laugh, but one of pure amusement. She added, "Well, at least Brooke brings some fun to your boring life." That was it. Something inside me snapped, not in anger, but in clarity. I set my fork down, looked Brooke straight in the eye, and said calmly, "Must be nice living rent-free in my apartment." Then I tilted my head, smiled, and added, "Oh wait, not anymore. You're out by tomorrow." Tammy choked on her drink. My dad's fork froze midair. Brooke looked like she'd just been hit by a foreign language. I placed my card on the table, stood up, and walked out without another word. By the time they got home, a printed eviction notice was already taped to Brooke's bedroom door. What they didn't know was that I'd already been preparing for this. I had spoken to my lawyer a week earlier, documented every incident, every message, every expense, every piece of evidence showing that Brooke had been living there without contributing a thing. That dinner was just the final push I needed. The next morning, the apartment's keypad code was reset, and her access was disabled. She had 24 hours to gather her belongings. Anything left behind would be boxed and delivered to my dad's house at their expense. When I got home that night, the apartment felt different, quiet, peaceful, finally mine again. At 1:13 a.m., my phone started buzzing. The family group chat, which I hadn't replied to in months, suddenly came alive. "Tammy, you really humiliated us tonight. You ruined your own birthday with your pettiness. Asterisk. Brooke, you're seriously kicking me out over one joke? You're unbelievable. Dad, Erin, can we talk? This isn't you. We're family. Don't escalate this." Tammy again, "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Throwing your sister out." I read their messages slowly, almost calmly. Then I typed a single reply. I'm not your wallet. I'm not your doormat. And I'm definitely not her landlord anymore. You've got 30 days. Good luck. The next morning, Brooke was standing outside the building, Starbucks in one hand, phone in the other, fake crying on Instagram live. A friend sent me a screenshot with the caption, Brooke's going viral for being homeless and heartbroken. She was telling everyone her cold-hearted sister kicked her out over a birthday joke. Not a word about the 14 months of free rent, the messes, or the fact that I'd fed her for over a year. Classic Brooke. By noon, the apologies began rolling in. My dad texted first, saying he didn't know things were that bad, that he should have stepped in sooner. I left it on read. Then Tammy wrote, I'm sorry if we ever made you feel used. We were just trying to keep the family close. Oh, now it's about family. Then came Brooke's final message. If I leave, I'm taking the TV. I helped hang it. I replied with a picture of the receipt, dated a year before she even moved in.
No, sweetheart.
You can take your makeup mirror. That's all. By day 3, Brooke was officially locked out. She came to grab her things, escorted by the front desk supervisor, because I'd told management to document everything. She tried to film it, of course, but her performance fell flat. She left with 3 overstuffed suitcases, mumbling about how some people just hate their own family. By day 4, silence. The group chat that used to ping with Brooke's drama went completely quiet. Then, out of nowhere, my dad texted at 7:04 p.m. Brooke's staying with us for now, but things are tight. Could you help with her car insurance this month? I just stared at the screen. Hours later, Tammy followed up with another message about how I'd always been the responsible one. She said, please just help us this once. After everything we've done for you. After everything they'd done for me? The same people I'd been financially supporting for years? I'd paid their mortgage during my dad's job loss in 2020. I'd covered their groceries, their phone bill, even Brooke's credit card debt. So I typed out a list, every dollar, every payment, every month. And I ended it with one line. This was me helping not once, but for 3 years. Your once has already been spent. 2 days passed with no reply. Meanwhile, Brooke was still playing victim online. She posted a TikTok titled, Kicked Out by Family, Starting Over. It got 80,000 views. People commented stuff like, your sister sounds toxic. So I did something a little petty. I stitched her video and said, imagine living rent-free for a year, breaking every rule, then calling the person who gave you a roof toxic. I'm not toxic. I'm tired. That video blew up, 150,000 views in a day. Brooke deleted hers the next morning. Weeks passed in peace. No texts, no guilt trips, just quiet. Until one Friday evening, I got an email from my dad titled, Let's put things behind us. Inside was an invitation, family lunch, Sunday at noon. No drama, just conversation. I almost deleted it, but then I thought if they want to talk, let's really talk. So I called my lawyer, gathered a few documents, and showed up ready to end this chapter for good. When Tammy opened the door, she acted like nothing had happened. Erin, you look lovely, she said with a smile too sweet to be real. I nodded and walked in. Brooke sat at the table, dressed in a baggy sweater, pretending to look fragile. Dad was pouring drinks. The first half of lunch was awkwardly peaceful. They complimented my job, talked about the weather, asked about my apartment. Then Tammy put down her fork, took a breath, and said, We've been reflecting, Erin. We want to make things right. Brooke's been trying hard, seeing a counselor, looking for work. We were hoping you'd let her move back in. Just temporarily. Rent-free, of course. I didn't blink. I just reached into my bag and pulled out a white envelope, sliding it across the table. Since we're talking about fresh starts, I said, here's mine. Inside were 5 documents. 1. A revoked power of attorney removing my dad from all financial rights. 2. An updated will removing all 3 of them as beneficiaries. 3. A cease and desist letter from my lawyer outlining every payment I'd made. 4. A property transfer showing my apartment was now owned by an LLC in my name only. 5. Brooks signed, notarized eviction acknowledgement. They flipped through the papers in silence. Tammy's smile faded, Brooks' eyes filled with panic, and my dad's hands trembled. Aaron, this feels extreme, my dad whispered. We just want our family back. I leaned forward and said calmly, family doesn't drain you, and call it love. Family doesn't laugh at you in public and beg in private. You've confused boundaries for cruelty. I'm just finally choosing myself. I looked directly at Brooke. You didn't want independence. You wanted a backup plan. You had 14 months. That chapter's over. Then I stood, adjusted my bag, and said, you can keep the lasagna, but not the lies. Any future communication goes through my attorney. As I walked toward the door, Tammy whispered, I hope you know how alone this will make you. I turned back and said quietly, better alone than surrounded by people who only love me when they need something. Then I left without looking back. 3 months later, Brooke was couch surfing again. Tammy sent a birthday card that said, we'll always be your family whether you like it or not. I shredded it without opening. My dad left a voicemail once. I never listened. I changed the locks again, not because I had to, but because peace feels better when it's protected. The apartment's still mine. The silence priceless.